And here for me, Magic, it really comes down to game one for Status Quo, because in these open series, when they've had success in qualified, right, they win 80% of game ones. So this game one, we had an earlier game two that felt like a game three, but now this game one feels like a game five here, because Status Quo, with that number 2 seed, they're the team that's supposed to make it mathematically 1 and 2 from the upper bracket side of things here. So a slight seed advantage and advantage for them here in this round.
You know which of these teams I'm rooting for, and I'm not going to make it a secret. Status Quo has my heart, but if you had your birthday wish, what do you want out of this series?
Ad time, bait. No, just kidding. Game 5. I would love. We haven't seen a game 5 yet in matches that really felt like we should have seen a game 5. So maybe this is the first series of the day that feels tight and highly contested and sends us to that pivotal, oh, so much fun, crucial game 5.
Both of those quarterfinal matches that were the intense competitive game 4 on that stronghold, and both of them were won by the team that had the lead. So we didn't just see a game 5 in the last 2 series. Maybe this is where we see it all come together. We've been following along with Locked and now meeting up against Status Quo. You said one of the favorites, the number 2 seed to qualify. We have seen this roster fall short, and very specifically, I'm remembering back to Charlotte, where they were one of the favorites to make it out of the open bracket into pool play, and they were stopped by a 3-0 sweep from Proton Gaming. I feel like this roster still has a little bit of that chip on their back that they have something to prove.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you had the Halo World Championship. Now you go back to Orlando, where Tony and Envor had that really great run at Orlando to qualify for Worlds. Tony had been previously dropped from that Gamers First roster, so that was a huge bounce back for him. And that entire roster at the time was just all a bunch of misfits and players dropped. So that's one of the reasons you love this locked and loaded roster. But you might want to be a fan of Status Quo instead, as they look really strong here to start this game, up 1-0, and it's 3 down for Locked. So a potential rotation, a potential overkill. Not gonna happen, but that early rotation for Status Quo should be on the table, but it looks like Jazero is anchoring C instead.
Both of these teams with something to prove, but something's got to give. Will this series take us the full distance to the game 5? The rocket hits its mark from King J. It looks like Cherish is the player to grab the next rocket. Diagram is the new addition to the Status Quo team, really filling in as a great support role right there, just giving cover fire in order to allow teammate to pick up the rockets. But hill number 2, early time being won over by Locked. They have the position to defend it. It's on to Status Quo. They find the break kill onto Tony, but Jazero matches back with a double kill. 3 go down for Status Quo, and Locked need to lock in this objective.
Jazero, huge play there and a huge pickup in the form of that red rifle. King J, only player alive for Status Quo, looking to push up, earn them that favorable spawn at B, but there's a little bit of a split. 2B, 2 at PD. How do they handle the push here? Needing to collectively find an answer, but Jazero has his focus on this right side. The left side might provide some damage. It does. Diagram pushing through, has the kill and that red rifle.
King J at the back of C. Even though Status Quo went 3 or 4 down, they were quick to get back to this objective. Now King J trying to stay alive. I know there were people in the chat saying we want to see King J. Great getting to meet him at Charlotte, even had him on the show here with LVT Halo. But what can he do now in this 4K? Trying to get into that qualifying position for next weekend's pool play. But he finds Envor and Jazero, the 1v2. He's gonna dip right out of that fight, regen the shield, and now information that Envor has the Bulldog. He does take down Jazero, but Envor at the back of the subway, at the back of Ivy, with the Bulldog is the next problem for Status Quo to deal with, and it looks like Cherish is the one to handle that issue.
Really solid response here from Locked, but not going to even get to the halfway mark, and that's kind of concerning because the eye test, again, I talk about it a lot, but the eye test there from Locked, it was giving me 60 to 75% on that hill instead. They're not even at the 45% mark or so, and now Status Quo has eclipsed the lead. Looking to go up 2-0 here. Cherish anchoring, and that might have even stuck his opponent, but he doesn't need the sticky. He's got the headshot instead. Cherish playing really well, 8-5 here.
The defensive spike grenade, he feels the pressure coming from C-stairs, and this is all the stall factor. He doesn't need the kills, he just needs to hold Locked at bay for long enough for the teammate to finish off the objective time. That shroud screen is gonna allow Cherish to stay alive. 2-0 is the lead. Locked had the opportunity, but they didn't prioritize the hill, and it's looking very reminiscent to what we saw from them in an earlier series, where they could get this plays, but not turning into that objective control.
Karras still hasn't died. Now rotated from the C side all the way over here to PD for this third hill. Playing through his process. Got Envor now. Envor's one shot. Cherish one shot. As now numbers advantage for Locked. At a time in the series, in this game one Magic, where they haven't really had much of that control. Status Quo looking to be the better of these two teams. And Status Quo finally might have a team here. We've been waiting for these guys. They placed top 16 at Raleigh last year and haven't been able to place that high since. And that was with Flamesword, the owner of the team now. And now he's coaching and owning and operating the team. So such a different Status Quo roster than the one we see today. But is this the roster that brings Status Quo back to that level of prominence you'd expect from an OG team?
And I can let you know, like, just a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. I don't think anything groundbreaking, but obviously that has been the goal for Status Quo. They're willing to kind of have that long-term perspective of, hey, we're going to experiment until we find the roster that fits. And if that means changing things up, if it means going back to the drawing board, that's something that we're willing to do because we're in it for the long haul. That's what Status Quo is, that legacy org is all about. And they're hoping right here, qualifying for pools is the next step for not just this roster, but for the organization as well. Would be a great breakthrough for them in this 2023, this HCS season 2. But 3 are going to go down, all 4 going down. It's Locked getting on the objective and trying to put their first capture on the board as well.
Yeah, and this is huge for them, Magic, because you cannot go down 3-0 with less than 2 minutes to go. Down 3-0 with 3 minutes to go. We saw earlier on Live Fire. Okay, that's a game, but 3-0 with sub 2 minutes, that is GG's if you're Status Quo. Yeah, on the winning side, right? That's GG's for Locked, I should say, as they would be sent packing into a game 2 with a 1-0 deficit in this series, as they're looking to put the finishing touches on that hill. Had the team wipe, was good enough to get them to about the 85% mark or so, but with 3 down now, staggered. It's not even the 2-3 down. It's the fact that Locked is now staggering Status Quo with the potential to come back on this hill and really seal the door shut for game 1.
Yeah, and Envor, he keeps on just receiving like nickel dime damage, right? Not enough for him to be taken down, but enough that he has to retreat. And finally, it's going to be the red gun doing the full 100% damage. The newest player on the Status Quo roster, Diagram, with the double kill with the red gun in hand. We see a little bit of a difference of priority here. The kills are coming through. Now's the decision. With a minute 10 on the clock, do Status Quo play for this hill, or are they milking for time? And it looks like they might be playing for time, or at least not emphasizing the objective at this juncture of the game. Diagram has made a full loop around this map, and as he does so, rounds through PD, finds another kill.
Status Quo certainly playing for the time, but for the time being, it looks like Locked should be able to put this first hill in, stop that general clock, and now with less than 1 minute to go, it's a 1 hill game. Diagram with a crucial set of rockets. He doesn't make it around the corner with him though. And now Arctic looks to find him, but instead he finds rockets, but he finds them exploding in his face. He goes down. Does a good job to trade out though. Numbers advantage though for Locked off of this break. Rockets in their hand as well. What they do with them is going to be a crucial deciding factor in who wins this game.
Well, Envor finds the kill, but he gets traded out. A little bit of self-inflicted damage from the blast of that rocket. It should be the Bulldog and some early hill time over to Status Quo if they play for hill time, which once again, it looks like they're playing for the clock. 23 seconds in the game right now. Locked are on the hill. They stop that clock. King J's on the hill, but I think only just long enough to get 2 kills. He's gonna dip right out of that objective and watch the clock dwindle down. This leaves Locked with just 1 more chance, a desperate one at that, to approach the hill.
Desperation push coming in for Locked. Jazero and the likes of Envor, Tony, and Arctic got to get in the hill a little bit sooner than this. They're pacing to be out of time. They have the slay, but they don't have the clock. They get their heel in the hill with just 2 seconds to go, and it's not 2 seconds any sooner, and this game would be over. Now, though, Locked, because of that 2 seconds on the clock, they have to have a continuous 60% of hill time control without giving up a second of it to Status Quo. There's going to be a very tall task here for them.
And it's starting to work, though, as Tony is still roaming. You have 2 players holding down the hill, 1 player to get time, and 1 player is the insurance just in case. A break and the kill comes through, though. But this hill is almost captured. It's 90%, 5 seconds left. Piggy trying to shoot out across the map, but they do it. Locked down the objective with 2 seconds on the clock.
What? How? That was unbelievable. Status Quo there, almost like in an instance where you could just throw your body out and play for trades. doesn't find any of them and doesn't seemingly find a kill. And that final sequence, that was what, 45 seconds straight of hill time? Unbelievable, clutch, icy finish here from Locked. And again, we keep posing the question, is this the Lock that clutches up, or is this the Lock that finds themselves as the odd man out? Right now, it looks like they're willing to clutch up, and now on this decisive final hill, they have the lead.
An Envor clear across the map is causing Status Quo to have to check their back. Arctic with the rocket gets the kill, trying to preserve his life, regen that shield, and finally Locked are really capitalizing on objective time off of those slays, but 2 go down. Here comes the break from Status Quo. Diagram rotating through Commando, 3 go down. Last alive, I believe, is Jazero retreating back. No, it was Tony in the back of C. He's taken down. Status Quo, hop on that objective.
Diagram looking to find an opening break slay here as 3 are down for Status Quo. Diagram, last player alive, and that's just going to force him to maybe have to overextend here with it being sudden death. Does a great job, though. I really like this play here from Diagram. Waits, baits, stays alive. Not only stays alive, but takes down Juzero. Gets fortunate spawns there at the red room side. Those players push up to tires and take down one more. Jazero, Envor, both down. Diagram, can he clutch up another kill? He does. Tony goes down. Three down, though, for each squad. This one's back and forth, and Diagram finds himself as the last player alive once again. What does he got now?
He's got the stall, hopefully. He's got the help from Piggy. He stays alive. Piggy cleans up the kill. But Status Quo have yet to step foot on this potentially game-winning objective. 50 seconds on the clock, and now Status Quo finally have the kills to be able to clear out the mid, but not for long. Piggy takes down Tony. Piggy looking for the double kill, raining down extra bullets to just block that line of sight onto Jazero. 3 are down for Locked. Piggy looking, Piggy and the rest of Status Quo looking to tie up this game, but Jazero's on the flank. Jazero being very cheeky at B stairs. 2 rockets for Diagram as he also is taken down.
It's really interesting right here. I almost wonder if Status Quo would play for the clock going down, because I believe that would send us to a reset where 1st to 2 would win. I just don't know if Status Quo has enough hill time here with the clock time to come back and finish the fight. It looks like Lock does, though. Envor with those rockets. Has him. Pushes up. Takes down Cherish. That's 3 down again. This is their final chance. This is it. This is Locked's chance right here to win this game. Otherwise, we might get sent to our 3rd or 4th sudden death OT of the day.
Well, I hear you saying maybe Status Quo play for time, but it kind of burned them earlier on in the game, right? They had that 2-0 lead and then trying to play for time, came back to bite them, and now Locked are about to get 3 straight captures to steal away this win, and they lock down the final objective. The kills come through for Status Quo just seconds too late.
This is ice in the veins we haven't seen from the likes of Locked, and I don't know, Magic, maybe it's the name change that brings the change in history for this roster. Envor and Tony Two-Turn are starting to climb the ranks, and they're really forming that duo that is a formidable duo, right? Like it's getting to the point where now you don't want to face off against Tony and Envor because of moments like that.
Incredible clutch ice there from Locked, but it's only game number 1 in the series. Status Quo, I want to know how that would have played out if they had chosen instead to play for that 3rd capture over on the Bulldog side instead of playing for time. It came back to bite them. I think that this was more of Locked icing up than any misstep from Status Quo. I think that's very obvious with them holding onto that hill literally with 2 seconds remaining. There were so many great opening plays. Cherish right there on the opening break with some nice takedowns. First 2 hills looked pretty smoothly captured for Status Quo. It wasn't until that decision that things started to get a little dicey.
Checking out more of the replays here. King J, at this point, 1-0 lead for Status Quo, and they felt like they had pretty significant control. Diagram with the rockets. But for me, Magic, it was that push, that final push from Jazero. Status Quo even went up 2-0. I mean, this is 1.5 minutes left, and somehow Locked finds the win. And the reason they were able to do that is because of Jazero's perfect timing on the push. I was even getting a little concerned for him, like, oh man, you might run out of time here, but he made sure to get his foot in the hill just in the nick of time. 2 seconds left. And that was all they needed to complete the miraculous comeback.
A great comeback, and that's why Locked have that 1-0 advantage as we head into game number 2. It's Recharge Slayer early advantage in kills, going to status quo, but not by much. 4-2, all 4 for locked, go down, 2 remaining. King J's gonna take that time and space to grab the repulsor, but he's not given any time.
I like that.
Arctic says, I will take advantage of you out position. Takes him down.
I love that there. King J, if he clambers, which would be sort of, you know, your first instinct as a Halo player, like, I don't want to die, but instead elects to not clamber, fall into the drink, and most importantly, fall into the drink with that repulsor. Would have essentially been handing it to the other team, as we have another player on the team of status quo. We got to close our lobbies, fellas. Hopefully we get Jesse out of there. Get him out, get him out. Oh, we're going to have to end the game instead. That is tough.
Every level of play, you gotta lock. You know, with a team name of Locked, you'd think they would lock down the lobby. It's just like they locked down the game #1. Come on.
Oh. Well, this is, yeah, this, you know, let's just break it down again. Status Quo winning 80% of their game ones. They've ridden that to this place. We're in the winter semifinals where they're on the brink of qualifying for Saturday, but going rogue. Now locked in 2023 Open Series, they're undefeated in game ones as well. So that was one of those games where something had to give, something had to break, and it makes sense as to why it was such a ridiculous finish at the end, because both teams have great success in game ones, but you have, in this instance, locked, getting the better of status quo for now.
And we'll be waiting and updating you once we get the official ruling, likely playing to a differential with status quo having, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, somewhere around there kill advantage to play off of. Usually that means that you subtract that from 50. So if we're assuming 3, I don't know, that's my best guess. If you status quo playing to 47,
46,
and the side of locked playing to 50,
yeah,
46.
Yeah, just
okay,
had the official.
I was being generous. I'm trying really hard to not be biased.
Yeah,
okay?
no, that's great. We just had the official word from Face It. SQ need 46. I don't know. That's really fortunate for SQ, because it almost felt like it was so fluky and mixy at the start that maybe it was just going to be a pure reset. But I think it's the right thing to give status quo that lead, as they were up 7-3 at the time, and now only need 46 as we approach the reset here. Opening break almost going to count for double, though, because of the little flukiness that we had with Jesse. I don't know, Boo Boo Doobo on his demon ult.
That was what I thought. Yeah. Boo Boo Doobo, get out of this lobby. I mean, come on.
You wanted to,
we know that Boo Boo Doobo teams up with Diagram, right? Doesn't he team up with the triplets a good bit?
Yeah, he's friends with Diagram, you know. I mean,
he said, status quo, you're down a game. It looks like you might need some help.
Not playing today, you know. He's just the Halo competitor in him. You can't keep him out of the arena, as status quo resets. 3-2-1 kill advantage, and it's really a 5-kill lead for them off the start. Status quo needing a bounce back answer in game 2, or they're going to be on the brink of a sweep.
Hoping to see what status quo can do. Unfortunate little reset. Thank you for the pop-up there in the chat, just so everybody's on the same page. King J capitalizes on the weak player, takes down Arctic. A nice kill. King J starting out this game. He's 2-0, but he's going to be killed and taken down. He gets the from the grave grenade. We've talked about this throughout today. It's almost been a theme of, hey, in the last, your dying breath as you're taken down, how do you utilize that split second? And I think King J was a great example.
Yeah, whether you can earn the melee, earn the grenade damage, whatever it is. We kind of opened up that discussion earlier. Numbers advantage it doesn't just mean, oh, well, there's 3 players alive for one team and 2 for the other. It is much more complicated than that. You have to really do the math and take into account the total overall damage on the field to determine who quite literally and truly has the numbers advantage. As this one looks tied 8-8, but it's really status quo up 12-8 here at the beginning of this reset.
Whatever number on the status quo side, you just have to mentally give a +4 to that because of that reset. It's Envor with the shock rifle, but right now choosing to use the BR instead. Maybe rotating for some top of control position, as the numbers are going right back to locked. Status quo are going down, having to respawn. They're going to push on long haul. Looks like Arctic might find himself in a 1v2 scenario there on long haul. And now Envor is rotating over to give some help as Arctic goes down. Piggy gets the kill, but not for long. Envor knows that, has that information, even from the death of his teammate, has the information on where that rotation's coming through, lines up the scope perfectly.
Ooh, tries to line up that camo grab, but that was not a perfect lineup there. As Envor goes down, Diagram looks like he's going to be able to take the camo instead. King J with that plasma pistol fully charged up. And with Diagram with camo behind him has the fully charged push up. Envor with the grenade takes him down. Diagram with the no scope. Where did that even come from? Takes down Tony 2-turn as status quo maintains that 4-kill lead.
Diagram, he sees the pings, the information, but there's no line of sight to take down the kill. Now he's doubling back. It looks like some help needed here on the elevator side. A little bit of a 2v2. Piggy and Cherish each get a kill. Cherish is traded back out. Arctic is left weak. And so off of those kills, just the +2 advantage for status quo. They take 4 kills while Team Locked gets 2, and they'll take those type of trade-offs every day.
Up 6, up 7 now. Status quo can trade out the rest of this game as they're technically at the halfway mark now. 23-17 is the score. Locked after an incredible comeback in game 1. And this is a little concerning for them because if not for an incredible effort from them, if they go down here in game 2, it would be an 0-2 deficit for them. So Locked gonna have to find an answer here. Gonna have to pick it up a little bit. And that shock rifle being down there for Arctic is one way to start.
It's a great little turnaround there for Locked. They had multiple players weak, but they were covering for each other, trading out damage. Status Quo looked like they were ready to collapse into grab a double or a triple kill, but it was that team cover from Locked that holds that line. Arctic using some grenades to try to watch his back, but I think the player that he's trying to eye in Whirlpool is up on that Dorito side, actually on Heaven.
Oh, wow.
And as Arctic goes through to contest, it's 2 players lying in wait from Status Quo for the takedown.
Yeah, that was bait for Arctic as he pushed into a 2v1 scenario. I don't even know if he ever saw the player to his left on the Dorito. As a snack break is in order here. Status Quo up big, up 8. Can trade out. Can grab these camos. Doesn't have to push with camo here. Doesn't have to play out of his mind, right? Just has to really just control the map, right? Not allow this Locked team to get back any of that map control, as they should be able to maintain that with the camo here. But now Diagram looking to get a little sneaky. Has the back of Jazero, has the headshot, takes him down. And Status Quo doing a great job at maintaining this lead.
And then they don't look like they're overextending or over-aggressing. They're just holding on to the lead that they have accumulated. You don't see them kind of rushing the pace. They're playing very calm, cool, and collected. Diagram getting out more damage. Gonna duck back, do the little jump up to C platform potentially, but watch out for Tony. Tony 2-turn rotating to Attic, might get a line of sight. King J is gonna take on that fight, and it's gonna be Tony being taken down. King J credited with the kill. Once again, a trade, a life for a life. Arctic now at the top of Attic versus Diagram, the shock rifle, but Diagram's not able to connect. Wait a minute, that melee! I heard the sound effect. Arctic has to go back for the kill. I don't know what happened with that melee. I think that should have registered, and instead he's traded out. A kill for a death.
Yeah, I thought maybe he meleeed the geometry there, the siding on the wall, but
I guess.
nonetheless, it's a kill that Locked really needed as they are down. What, this would be 8 still. So 8 kill lead. Status Quo has held on to this almost the entirety of this match. And it's similar to what it looked like in game 1, where Status Quo held on to that 2-0 lead in King of the Hill, but they sort of conceded it. They gave it up. And now we're seeing that a little bit again. We're seeing the comeback for Locked. As no, Status Quo back to that 8 kill lead for them. And that's going to be, this is a gut check for them. I bring this up because that is a gut check for them, especially after going up 2-0 like that and then giving up that improbable comeback to Locked. You don't want to give them, you don't even want to let them sniff the comeback and start getting some of that energy going.
You definitely don't want to give the opportunity, because you know that Locked will take every opportunity given and exploit it to its fullest. So Status Quo hoping to lock away this game, tie up the series. They need 7 more kills to do so. It's Piggy once again with the camo. Some great team play, but Piggy is getting found out by Jazero. Sets up that kill, and once again, it's a 2-for-2 trade, which only works in favor of the team with the lead as Cherish stays alive off of that assist. 4 kills left for Status Quo to tie the series.
Harris doing a great job disengaging from Envor there at the needle side. Recognized that he had a player spawn on the C side, had that angle to clean him up. And that's really smart there from Cherish. He ultimately goes down a few seconds later, but Cherish with no shields, electing to allow his teammate to clean that up. That's part of the safe process that we've seen this team play and why they're up so big.
The grapple through the window, terrifying. Ends up as another trade of kills, and with that takedown, King J's gonna find the final kill needed. That's gonna be the tied series. That's gonna be the game to win. And a little bit of friendly fire from Diagram, chasing his own teammate across the whirlpool.
All right, we have that tie. We are inching closer and closer to what we had to imagine at the start of this series, a game 5 between these two highly contested teams. 2 versus 3 in the matchup. So Magic, just based on mathematics and seeding here, technically both of these two teams are expected to qualify for pool play. However, only one can qualify from the winner's side. This is one of those series where something's gotta give.
And we could very well see both get into pool play, but as you mentioned before, it's partly about qualifying for pool play, and it's partly about you know, having a little bit of an easier day. Of course, you'd rather qualify now. One of these teams is dropped to the lower bracket where they have to fight yet again, and then also impacts which pool they qualify into. Again, pool play is going to be picking up next Saturday. Make sure to mark your calendars because next weekend, oh boy, we have a full weekend of Halo. Pool play on Saturday, champ bracket on Sunday. The continuation of this 4K. I really enjoy this format because I feel like it gives everybody the chance to be highlighted on the broadcast, and it builds those storylines. Two strong stories right here. Status quo, lock, something's gotta give, and we're headed into that swing game, the game number 3, and it's Empyrean CTF. Is this our first Empyrean CTF of the day? Because I think it is.
Yeah, we've seen some Empyrean Slayers, but this is our first Empyrean CTF, and oh, I love this for a game 3. Big fan of Empyrean CTF. I think it the symmetricality on both sides of the map, the dueling snipers on both sides of the map. You got rockets, you got overshield.
Symmetricality. That's your birthday tomorrow.
Hey, I'm making it. I'm getting creative. We're in creative mode here, right? Halo does have a creative mode in Forge, so I'm getting a little creative on the casting side. All right, you guys in chat are just gonna have to deal with it.
I'll have to deal with it. I keep on remembering every time I try to question you. I'm like, it's your birthday tomorrow. I gotta listen. I gotta play nice. For this day only. Next weekend, I'm gonna call you out in every made-up word, like symmetricality. I don't know. Look it up. The symmetrical map of Empyrean, but the snowball effect is in full place here because of those spawn locks, and it plays very differently. Well, what do you think is the main difference between Empyrean Slayer versus CTF?
I wish I could screen share. Merriam-Webster dictionary definition says symmetricality, having, involving, or exhibiting symmetry. Google it, chat.
What? Are you serious?
And by the way, contestant is a word too. You can Google that.
Should have never doubted.
Contestant, the action or process of disputing or arguing, which I might just start arguing with everybody in the chat who says I'm wrong all the time. I gotta fight for myself here, as we have quite the fight here. The tied series 1-1, our 2 and 3 seeds here on the open bracket side of things, dueling for a spot in Saturday's pool play with the top teams in the HCS.
Old man Webster on the mic today. Mikowski might just be the walking dictionary coming out with the big bit. I usually credit you for the vocabulary usage, and I'm like, oh, take note. That's a good one. I don't know why I doubted this time. Someday I'll learn my lesson, but not today. Game number 3, Empyrean capture the flag, status quo versus Locked. If you had to pick a team for just this game, do you think this map and mode plays better to the strengths of one team over the other?
This is hard because I think Locked has a little bit more likelihood to cause an unforced error, right? I look at the likes of King J and Diagram. Guys have been playing a little bit longer than the likes of Envor and Tony Two Turn, but I don't know. This still feels to me like a 50-50 series.
That's fair. Pretty much unknown what the outcome of this game is going to be. It's down to the players, and it's down to Jazero with 2 rockets, a drop wall as well, denying that boom block potential so that he doesn't have to worry about somebody else blocking his rocket. Places it down, and then, oh my goodness, how are you alive through that fight, Cherished? I want to see that from Cherish POV.
Somebody needs to call the rocket department. They're not working.
This is broken. I want to refund.
Oh, Diagram with the angle, though. That creativity is working for him. Unbelievable shot over the edge of a side of long haul I didn't even know existed here on Empyrean, but Diagram did. Great play there from him as he's playing some great defense there with that sniper in the back of his spawn and a flag out.
We're seeing players survive rockets. We're seeing snipe angles that we didn't know even existed. This game is full excitement, and it looks like Diagram's trying to take the flag the home stretch. Status quo slightly down in numbers, but Cherish is giving the cover fire. The first capture comes through. Just over a minute 15, we'll say, of time elapsed, and status quo, they didn't have the rockets, but they have that capture.
Yeah, Diagram did such a great job playing defense on that flag run. Really, at one point, looked like the sole survivor there on that side. not necessarily a single-handed flag score there. Is you got to get some teammates involved to score on Empyrean, especially against the likes of some of these top teams. But nonetheless, that was an individual standout play there from the likes of Diagram. And now Piggy popping off with a double.
Nice double kill for Piggy, hopefully trying to stay alive. Tosses the frag at the back of the spawn, predicting those spawns, but it's Tony and Jazero working together. Diagram making a decision here. I thought he might go over to the snipe tower, try to lock the spawns, but instead doubles back to mid of the map. He was a little early to set up for overshield and rockets, but maybe just dividing this map in half to play a round of defense instead. Here comes the push. Instead, they tried to rotate long haul. They had the push on the sniper tower side, and they get cut off. So what do? They double back. They rotate around, and Cherish finds the bags of two weakened players, cleans up both kills, expecting this flag to go through long haul the same way that they came through on this push.
Yeah, and now the more that we're getting eyes on this status quo roster, the more that game one comeback is looking more like a fluke, looking like fool's gold maybe even for this locked roster. Is it? Imagine it took everything. It took a comeback you'll rarely see in Halo Infinite to get that one win to tie it up in this series. But after that game two where status quo won by 10 plus and had that lead for the entirety of the match, and then now going into this game three where they score quickly and have the pressure, have locked up against the wall. The Rockets go down though. So status quo again, I gotta point out to them, they look like they are up to the challenge. They're looking like a true number 2 seed here in this tournament.
Let's go. Piggy making the big plays, and once again in the back of locked base. I mean, at this point, he might as well move in. He probably already has a drawer in the back of their base because he's been living there so much. 3 times we've seen Piggy being a nuisance. Every time that flag run is stopped short. Full credit to Locked for stopping those flag runs, but you can see that status quo was forcing Locked to play on their side of the map. Even when Locked won out the Rockets, they weren't able to break through and form their own offensive until maybe now with Envoy in the position, but 2 players from status quo in front of him. He has damage onto 1. He tosses the frag down the stairs. It's a little 2v2. Envoy now and Jazero working together against King J and Cherish, but it's Piggy across the map helping out the teammates, and Envoy is left scrambling, trying to maintain this position, but he is flushed out. Call the exterminators.
Double
huge kill there as Envoy had help on the Mangler side, but both those players went down. And then Tony trying to help out from the green wall with the sniper. He goes down, and I believe concedes snipe to the likes of Jazero, who has it now. Triple kill. Huge. That's the sniper. The fact that that sniper did not transfer into the hands of status quo is massive. It's the only reason why we see a flag out now for Lock.
They might even be able to run it because Envoy's locking down at green, and Jazero still with plenty of ammo to work with in that sniper, but the push is coming through. They take down 1. Arctic is at the long haul. Envoy's here to back him up, and we see that Tony is getting in on the fight as well, but 1, 2, 3 go down for Lock. This flag is getting reset unless Tony desperates, but no, he's gonna meet his teammates on the respawn screen. A great push from Locked, cut short.
And now status quo has a little bit of a stagger there. Tony dying about 4 or 5 seconds after the rest of his team went down. Let's see if status quo is able to take advantage of that stagger opportunity. Gonna pull a flag to pull some of that attention back towards the spawn of this locked roster. Tony with the potential flank on his back. Doesn't spot King J, but King J does spot Tony. Takes him down as well. And now overshield up. King J spots that, and it looks like he's gonna get it for free.
Yeah, the attention was on Rockets, and it was 1 kill from Rockets for status quo, and then Envoy finds the second rocket, uses it for a takedown. But now with Rockets spent, the only power-up in play is that overshield. Envoy is going to be taken down by the overshield of King J. I wasn't sure if he'd be able to cross the map in time to impact this flag run, but he gets there at the perfect time. He gets the killing spree, he gets the double kill. He's leading the charge for his team to get that insurance capture.
Yeah, and that stagger, that little overextension there from Tony was a cause effect of that second hill. And for that first score, when Tony went for the when Locked had a chance to tie it with that flag run down the long haul, Tony kind of overextended a little bit for a flag that I ultimately believe was going to return regardless of what he decided to do. So there, you'd like to see him maybe pull back a little bit, get some more favorable spawns, as this has all been a trickle down, a cause and effect of that sequence moments ago.
2-0, but plenty of time. Still about half of the time remaining for Locked. We saw them in a very similar, it was a 0-2 lead that status quo had in that game number 1 that Locked came back with 3 straight King of the Hill captures. This time it's flag captures up for grabs. 5 minutes and 30 seconds left for them to work with. Cherish has the sniper. Diagram is running another flag, and now it's the third capture. That one seemed so quick, so fluid for Status Quo. They really found their rhythm here in game 3.
Status Quo. It must be 2007 on the pit, because that's exactly what they're looking like. Unbelievable flashback performance here on Empyrean CTF now in Halo Infinite. Cherish with the no-scope on J0. Oh, looking like a mini assault with the likes of that no-scope play there from Cherish. Love to see the history. Love to see the plays even being made today from this Status Quo roster.
Incredible plays from Cherish to get that kill. Might have only 9 slays, but also 10 assists. Great assists across the board for Team Status Quo. As you can see, Diagram, the newest member of the Status Quo roster, working right alongside Cherish. Diagram is taken down. Cherish still with the sniper, and it's almost like a 2-for-1 if he's taken down here. Luckily ends up with a trade, but that sniper likely going into the hands of Envor to see what he can do with it.
Wow, bodies everywhere. It's a 1v1 for this overshield. Diagram doesn't have the shots, and now Tony has the OS. Down 3-0, 4:20 left in this game. Locked are going to need every bit of this overshield. Locked are going to need every bit of this rockets if they're going to come back in this one.
Yeah, both power-ups won over by Locked, and the perfect time to do so. But that one rocket is going to hit the ground. Still numbers for Locked as all 4 go down for Status Quo. Tony, with the final seconds of that overshield, also has the remaining rocket. As he looks for the respawners, he's going to find the takedown onto Diagram. There's a player from Status Quo jumping up into the top of the sniper tower. This flag run is stopped for a brief moment. It looks like he's going to carry on. Tony is getting the kills. The double! A triple coming through for Tony!
Tony turning up with the triple kill, and he's waiting for that flag. He's going to have a chance to pull again, but no! Diagram! A player once taken down, spawns back up, gets his revenge, just as it looked like Status Quo was about to give up back-to-back flag caps. They stopped the bleeding, and Locked now with a little bit of momentum on their side. They're still on the Status Quo side of the map, still have numbers. 2 down for Status Quo. Locked should have another pull.
And this is what we see from Locked time and time again. The 2 different versions of this team. There was their early game team that was a little bit lackluster, a little bit sluggish. And now all of a sudden, they have turned up the heat. They still have numbers in the back of the Status Quo base. Envor is singled out. J0 is next to fall. And Status Quo are able to stabilize, hopefully getting the return. But Arctic is still in the fight. This return more than certain to go through. We see that there's a little bit of a taste for blood now from Locked. As they have that capture, they need to keep pushing the emphasis, though. The clock is ticking. 2:40 on the clock as Envor is making a move. King J takes him down.
King J here, just going to anchor that sword side. He's not going to push up too far past. He might go to the edge of the sword on the other, on the Status Quo side of the, on the Locked side of the map, but I don't expect him to push past this Green Hall sword side. I'd be really curious to see if he does, but no, he's just going to play for slays. He's actually going to work back to his spawn because he has 2 players pushing in. J0 spots him. The other player down the long haul, Tony, on the other side. King J might start getting shot in the back here, but Tony doesn't have the push. Instead, he elects to go through green wall because of the rockets, but time continuing to tick away as this will be the last set of rockets that could potentially help this squad come back. But King J locking it down. Tony down to 1 shot. Has King J down to 1 shot. Clean flick with that shot. Has the rockets picked up as well. Tony played out of his mind here. He's having a big game.
Oh, Tony is having a big game, 22 and 16, and with that cheeky rocket pickup, unfortunately, it's Diagram with the overshield, who rolls through town. Double kill for Diagram. Shuts down that win potential for Team Locked, and there's a player right behind him in the sneaky corner. It's Tony again. He's just watching, just stalking his prey. He's found out, though, the team fire from Status Quo is going to clean him out, and now it's J0 versus Cherish, but once again, it's that team fire on the side of Status Quo that's going to win out the kills that make a difference.
Yeah, and it's all timing there. Tony pushed up, and it was a good push. He had the pressure, but J0 didn't get back into the mix on that platform side until it was way too late, until Tony had already gone down. At that point, it's just a domino as the dominoes continue to fall here for Status Quo in the variety of 4 scores. And Magic, in my eyes, on Empyrean Pit CTF, this game should have been over at the 3-0 mark, because this one just about is.
just about over. 50 seconds, and it would take a miracle for 3 captures in that amount of time. At some point, it just becomes impossible, and you can see a little bit of that desperation coming through from the side of Locked. I think they know this one's over, and all they're trying to do is kind of reset mentally in order to head into that game 4. Remember, this is a best of 5, so this series not decided here. Diagram in Needles picking up another kill, recharging that shield. 20 seconds to go.
Huge performances here in this game from King J and Piggy. Those are 2 players again, just like you have the duos on Locked.
Well, they called it.
You have Arctic and Jazeera, you have Envor and 22 turn, but maybe it's the duo of King J and Piggy that we really should have been talking about, Magic, as I got to give credit to King J and Piggy, I guess, on the vice versa side of that, for sticking with each other despite some really tough events, right? Charlotte did make it out of open bracket. That more, you get second place in an HCS. Sometimes that causes team change. You get top 5, top 6. Might be some team changes coming up that you guys will see in the news this week. But again, going back to these guys not even making out of open bracket, you'd think that would for surely do a team change. But no, King J and Piggy stick together, and they're starting to yield the fruits of their labor. They're starting to see the benefits of sticking with it, sticking with each other.
And I love that. I love that consistency and that loyalty, you know, paying off. That's part of the reason why I stick with you as a duo, even though you say some of the most hated things, Mikowski. It's going to pay off in the long term. You just got to hang in there. You got to believe. I'm just kidding. We're having a great time. I always love getting to cast with you. I mean, after a couple of weeks since the last 4K, it's been good to be back with the full LVT Halo team. And Mikowski truly is my favorite caster in all of Halo, so I got to give proper credit. Hoping to see status quo climb the victory, claim the victory here. We're going to be heading into that game 4, but they have the advantage in the series, and there was something about this game. It is the swing game, not just because one team's going to be up 2-1 at the end of it, but it feels like the momentum shift in the middle of the series as well. So if that's true, status quo can continue to ride the wave.
Well, I like I said, I just go back to game 1, took a comeback that Sports Index would have to have had that comeback chance at like 1 to 3%. Realistic 1 to 3% chance for Lock to come back and win that game 1. So outside of what I would say was a rather fluky occurrence and sequence there, an incredible comeback nonetheless that they did earn, but wow. And Tony with that triple kill. It's just not.
You said it felt more like the exception than the rule. Yes, is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Even that triple kill there from Tony, right? And they used that to get a score, but it was the timing. It was just a second, 2, 3, 5 seconds behind to where they could counter pull and pull it again. So seeing all of that at play here. Status quo seems to me to be the true number 2 seed and in the driver's seat for making pulls from the winner's side.
And they're hoping to do that right here in this game number 4, not leaving it up to game 5. The opening kills once again being won by status quo as Cherish completes that full team wipe. All 4 go down for Locked. We talked a little bit, you mentioned the roster changes and maybe even the potential for more. We talked about these changes, right? We see Jazeera on the side of Locked seem to fit in well with that roster. Yeah. We also want to talk about Diagram on the side of status quo, the newest addition to that roster. Both of these teams coming into this series with 1 roster adjustment. And it does look like right now it's working for status quo with Diagram on the squad. There'll be more roster mania discussion, guys. Don't worry, especially heading into next weekend. There have been some shakeups in the last week.
Yeah, and Diagram has sort of been like the de facto fill-in for a lot of the pro squads. You saw him fill in for Native Red when they could not fulfill their roster with Druck getting stuck in customs. So Diagram always been a fill-in 4th for a lot of top pro teams, but now he finds this open bracket team in status quo and maybe finds the best fit as the 4th there. And who knows what Diagram can do with a squad that he prefers and likes. You know, he's part of the triplets, Avenue and Suppress. Diagram, all part of the same family line. Those are all great Halo players, so you have to expect Diagram has that intimate as well, as 3 go down, 4 go down for Locked. 30 seconds of milk on the clock for status quo. Looking good, continuing.
And Cherish is at 3-0, looking for the potential for a killing spree. Tosses the oddball off to teammate. It's Diagram again, as that has been a fill-in player and now filling in the role of the objective holder, even on the status quo roster. It's the equipment versus equipment, and it's the Shroud Spring beating out the Repulsor. Oh no, the Repulsor, my favorite piece of equipment, ends up taking the L in that 1v1 at the bottom of the tunnels. Here comes the break from Locked. Heat wave in the hands of Tony, looking for Diagram around scoreboard. We're gonna find a 2-for-1 special as Piggy drops down right in front of him, giving him the opportunity to take down a clean double kill. And Tony's not going to settle for 2. He's always looking for that next kill.
Yeah, Piggy really had the horse blinders there on Arctic as he takes him down, but goes down to Tony instead, and that ball flips towards Locked because of it. So a great play there from Tony, as he will ultimately go down, though, and a chance for Status Quo now to take back this oddball and rotate it. But you talk about being in no man's land. That's almost like an oddball reset there with it, where that oddball lays right outside the screen door.
Very difficult to get to that objective, the open field, but Envor is going to find a way to do it. Has rotated that oddball up through cuts. Diagram is on the chase, but just like a step or two behind, not able to round the corner in time, and the kills are going in the favor of Locked, at least for now. A little bit of a trade of kills. Now it's 0 with the objective. Envor on the fight, and Locked keep on dropping that oddball in order to try to play for slays. And sometimes that dropping of the objective has been their undoing. It's the 1v1, the 2 new players on the rosters, and it's Diagram who's going to win out over to 0.
Yeah, and you don't need a team wipe to control oddball and get that time. You just need numbers, because when you consider the fact that the oddball carrier, it's almost like taking a death, right? So even if you have 4 up, a 3v4 is really essentially a 3v3 with him grabbing oddball. So Locked playing a little too heavily there for too many slays. Because of it, the objective efficiency and the oddball is in the hands of Status Quo.
Definitely some good tape here for Locked to go back to. We've seen some great strides from this roster, but still some moments of inconsistency, especially on that objective side. But Cherish with the double kill at the top of tower. Cherish is the first player to cross the double digits, and now uses the repulsor, not over-aggressing for this kill on Zero, waits for a teammate, and the assist comes through. Why play the ego challenge when you can rely on a teammate cleanup instead?
Oh, look at this. And now Status Quo has the perfect pinch, fully covering A and C side. That's going to lead to an overshield for them as Piggy takes it for free. Could have even maybe waited a couple more seconds to pop that, but I think with this lead, realizes the time is now to just push it and go. As Piggy takes that double overshield to earn the double kill. And he only needed the 1 shield, so some missed shots or some missed angles there from the side of Locked, as they weren't able to really stress and press on Piggy, despite the fact that he had that overshield.
Turning point, 63 seconds and climbing for Status Quo. Piggy's finally taken down, but the play off of that overshield pushes right into the double team of Envor and Tony, takes both down, and that's why you see so much time being won on the other side of the map by Status Quo. Cherish with the heat wave in hand, the shroud screen play, the killing spree, everything. Cherish is 13-5.
Cherished dipping and ducking in and out of that shroud screen with the use of that heat wave is textbook. Dictionary definition. There we go. From him is Cherished. It's just this is, man, we talk about Karmea, we talk about Collect, Neuronical, Cycle. I don't know how young Cherished is, but I know coming over from Gears of War, he's a newer Halo player. He's a Halo player at this point. Unbelievable performance. It's weeks after weeks, he's a top performer, as Status Quo has the round 1 victory. And not only a victory, Magic, that was convincing.
A convincing victory. The kills were one-sided. The objective time was very one-sided, and I love to see Cherish popping off.
Oh my God, the use of I continue to see Shroud Screen plays that just blow my mind. There's one of them to add to the list from Cherish.
Yeah, you talk about King J and Piggy as that duo on Status Quo, but I think Cherished is more and more becoming part of that conversation, and rightfully so. Piggy with the sniper sends the player back, but Arctic comes back for more, comes back for blood and the kill. And this is something different. Now we see Locked that they're not hesitating. They're not hesitating to get the objective. They grab that oddball quickly.
Cherished with not a full snipe, but almost a full snipe to work with. 6 shots. And at this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if those are 6 kills. He's looked that good. Doesn't need the sniper out, though. Has the teammate support, has the damage, has the distraction there. Nobody looking at Cherished over there on the dummy side, but Tony and Envor are able to take down King J and Piggy, but Cherished with a no-scope. Melee takes down Envor, has another shroud screen to work with. Is he going to stay alive? Oh, my God. I was about to... 2 for 2 on the survivability plays of that caliber would have been out of control from Cherished, as he ultimately goes down. A little bit of milk here for Locked, as they have 8.
A little bit of milk, but not much. Piggy trades out with the sniper. Arctic is on the run. Arctic is weak, and Cherish is trying to hunt him down with the grenade. A little bit of a bad bounce on that second grenade might leave King J slightly weakened, but none the worse for wear. It's status quo. Back climbing up the objective scoreboard. They're 1-0, and this is the potential for their game-winning qualifying match if they can see this game through to the victory.
EJ looking to play his process, looking to play patient here. Uses that shroud screen, but oh my god, at that point the shroud screen was bait. Once that shroud screen went down, everybody from Lock wanted to get a grenade inside of it. King J, well-timed step out there as he stays alive, barely escapes with it. Arctic escaping with that oddball towards the back of River. Gonna need some slays here, gonna need some numbers to really lock in and hold that oddball at the C tower. Has a great setup if they're able to get the numbers, but 2 go down for Locked. 3 now. It's a little bit of a stagger here as Tony goes down, Jazero goes down. This is absolutely a stagger. This is going to lead to maybe 30 seconds for status quo, and Locked are going to be reeling a little bit off spawn here at the back river.
He got the double kill. You know what's better than an overkill, Mikowski? A double kill, because now status quo are forcing Lock into those staggered spawns, and they're just picking them off 2 at a time. King J does go in for that trade. They're looking for more players. A 30-second lead now by status quo. They're trading for kills, waiting for King J off of the respawn. Piggy rotating around. He has teammate with a heat wave alongside. This is where that team fire comes in, and they find 1-2 more kills. They grab that objective, assuming once they're taking care of Jazero, now they can win over the oddball.
This is just great positioning here for status quo. How many times, Chad, have we seen the POV of one of these 4 status quo players, and they're looking at the back of the head or the side of the head for the opponents from Lock? That tells me that the positioning is perfect and the communication pretty good too.
Positioning and communication are working together. The team fire on the side of status quo, but it's Tony with the snipe. Find that. If you can find almost 3 perfect headshots in a row, it is gonna leave status quo reeling off of those kills. Locked, don't waste time. They get to that objective, but they have a climb in front of them, a point deficit they need to overcome.
And I'm actually really surprised that Locked all have very similar and close death counts, which tells me that they're playing together. However, based on the eye test, not the stats, Tony seems to be a little bit ahead of his teammates, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing or that he's overextending. I actually think that the rest of his teammates need to kind of catch up to him a little bit, because he's putting pressure on. He's emphasizing the push, and it's not faded pushes like we maybe saw from Tony in year 1. He's really developed as a player, and he's now making sure when he's two-turn making plays like that, he's making it in a right time, right place. So I'm gonna look to see the rest of this Lock roster catch up, not necessarily in slaying performance to Tony, but just in positioning and pacing on the map.
I don't know if Tony burned the overshield or if overshield's still in play, but it's nearly a tied game. In fact, it's Locked with the brief 2-point lead. 2 go down for Locked. Status quo have numbers. Diagram, though, in a 1v2 situation, uses the shroud screen, comes out with the trade at the end of the day. Hopefully set up enough damage onto Envoy for Cherish to get the cleanup, but Cherish can't contest because Envoy's holding on to the high ground position. Cherish quickly adjusts, doubles back to the rest of his team where they secure the oddball.
And it looks like that overshield was burnt there from Tony. So again, going to show that sometimes the best plays you can make are ones where you go down, but there too many go down for Lock. 3, in fact, as Piggy looks to take down this final member. If Arctic goes down, now that's a stagger. Locked. Big stagger here with Arctic going down 5+ seconds after the other grouping of 3 went down. That's gonna make it really tough for these guys to push with numbers at a time where now you're gonna have to desperate a little bit. 80 seconds on the clock. Status quo in the end game.
And Piggy thought he had a frag there. Did you see how he looked at the bottom? He looked at the floor there in the tunnel, because that's how he was going to ricochet a frag grenade for the kill, but he didn't have any grenades left to work with, so he's taken down. Here come Locked. They break that hold just in time. They're still down 20 seconds. Cherish is not giving Team Locked room to breathe. They're going to rotate this oddball to the back of B, where they have that play ball potential, not wanting to give up a hole. But look at Envoy lurking in the corner with a heat wave. Cherish deals with 1. The repulsor to send back the grenade, potential for a second. Waiting for the team help, or even lives on both sides. Arctic at the bottom of B pillars is going to get taken down. Here comes the breakthrough, but it's only a 2-point game.
2-point game, 2 down for status quo. Now 3, Locked with the numbers advantage, and overshield up soon. This could spring the comeback, but it's King J who has the lead, and sneaks away with an overshield. I thought he ran off the platform too soon, but it's Envoy with the double kill. Has that overshield down precariously in the field. Arctic looks to pick it up. This could be a huge pickup here for Locked, as they're going to secure the round with it, tying this round up at 1. Just as it looked like Locked was about to be sent home with a 3-1 series win for Status Quo, they find the answer in round 2 and stay alive.
Locked keeps surprising us with these last-second clutch plays. That double snipe from Tony, absolutely nasty. 21 kills for Tony, and you were hoping that the other 3 on the team would kind of match his pace. I think at the end of that round, we saw the rest of the team kind of rallying behind Tony's pace of play and starting to meet where they had that equality across the roster.
Absolutely, and that's the big reason why they spurred that comeback, and it's the reason why they look really good here off the start with a slight oddball hold. Numbers and that heat wave in their hands, but those all go down. Jazero, though, on the backside, able to grab that overshield. So despite oddball going down and the heat wave, Locked are able to take overshield, but that gets negated immediately. Status Quo not necessarily putting together the ball time or the offense here, but playing great defense nonetheless.
Diagram makes a quick escape with the use of the repulsor, trapped behind scoreboard, and he manages to milk his life. He's staying alive. Neither team able to get much time on the clock, but it's Status Quo. The focus fire onto the overshield, and then that Diagram survivability is keeping that advantage, a slight advantage here for Status Quo. They still have to deal with Arctic at the bottom of the tunnel. The melee comes through, but it's the trade as the spike grenades stick from Arctic. That last-ditch effort to try to equalize the game.
I think the last piece for this Locked roster to come back here in this game is to get a little bit more spread amongst the 4 players as it relates to objective time. Right now, with Jazero getting 94 seconds, not only is that too much in relation to the 4, 9, and 2 of his teammates, but when you look at this Locked roster and their composition, historically it's Envor and Tony Tuturk with the most slays and oddballs and the most oddball time as well. So I know that's a tall task to ask Tony and Envor to continue to slay out and grab that oddball time, but maybe it's up to Arctic to grab a little bit more. Gonna need to see more disparity, more distribution of that oddball time as Piggy redistributes the frag grenade back to the sender. Return to sender for him, and Status Quo looking good.
Should have got Amazon Prime is all I'm saying. And if you do have Amazon Prime, you can drop a sub for free. Okay, a quick little side bar right there. Arctic has the overshield, full power on that OS, trying to get the stick grenade onto Diagram, spinning around to check his back. Diagram is weak. Diagram's survivability absolutely played out of his mind. We saw the repulsor jump at scoreboard, and now in Nest somehow finding a way to stay alive. Arctic does find the kill onto Piggy, but his overshield is spent. Doubles back to take down Cherish, but that halfway mark already being crossed. 55 seconds won by Status Quo. Locked currently have the numbers, and they take advantage by quickly rotating to that oddball. And this time the oddball is being picked up. I believe it was Tony getting the first touch on it. Now it's back to Jazero. So again, focusing on Jazero as the objective player.
Locked really need to get this reset and get that ball back to the C tower. I believe they started to rotate it to A, but you can see all of the red populating on that side of the map. That was not where you wanted to go with that oddball. Locked and Jazero recognized that soon enough, just in the brink of time, as it looked like Status Quo was about to regain that oddball. Now we have Locked putting together a little bit of milk, a little bit of time. 2 down, though, for them. But hey, it's okay. You can milk out this time here and get a play ball, as we just see that exact play from Locked. So despite going 3-4 down, you do a great job. Now they have to play some defense here off the reset, though. King J making it away with it.
King J was ready on that reset. The comms are in place for Status Quo, and right now they are 38 seconds away from taking this series. Trading kill for kill, but it's Cherish with the double, looking for the triple kill, gets the body shot, the assist comes through. Arctic is the last player alive on the side of Locked, taken down by King J. Status Quo quickly pick up that oddball right where it was left off, and only 22 seconds remaining. Overshield will be in play, but not much time for Locked to work with as 2 go down yet again. They're caught in the blender. Oh my gosh!
Wow. Great recognition there from Cherish, Magic. Did you see that? 4 players went down for Locked, and Cherish knew that they'd all be spawning on A again. Set himself up, anchoring at the bottom A tunnel, and got those 2 kills essentially for free as Status Quo take game 4, take this series 3-1. Incredible performance. We saw a lot of fight back from Locked, but more than anything, we saw what looks to be a really, really solid team in Status Quo previously that needed an org roster. Now with Diagram on the squad, we talked about him being a 4th fit for a lot of different pro rosters. He's seemingly found his fit here on SQ.
I love the look of the status quo roster, and one person we have not shouted out from the team is the coach, Thug Nasty. You can see the comms, you can see the coordination, you can see the cohesion coming through for that roster, and a lot of that is due to the coaching. So a big thanks and a big shout out to Thug Nasty. As Status Quo are the first team that are qualified for next week's pool play. Very excited to see how this is all going to play out. Locked are going to have another chance. And what we've seen from them today, they're still clawing, they're still climbing, and they'll need to do more of that scrappy gameplay in the lower bracket if they want to make it into next weekend.